I was just wondering if he had gotten sick.
No, no. Oh.
Try to get down. What is that? Back. Yeah, he never showed up, so what I was gonna do, I was asking you guys, I have to work out things. To take some, a little by little, and put it in front of, put it in front of your house or somebody's house and just agree with them, give them $5 or $10. So they can take the bag on the bulk set. Man, but I think, $20. They say do it. Yeah. Oh, no.
No.
Would it? Gotcha. Where's the bags that have to go out for bulk? For bulk? Yeah. For bulk? Oh, there's no there's no.
The garbage in here, I had the truck that could put everything out, $300.
Oh.
You put it into the room.
You found somebody that.
Yeah. Sure. That we actually found them. They don't clean the whole everything in this, whatever's in there, that you don't want to, listen, y'all cannot be putting out, so. Okay. All right, so, so you wanna bring the food out and thank you for this, okay?
I think, yeah, go for it. Yeah, we food is like right out and string beans, everything should be hot. Chicken, go for it. I had to please, I made it please for that. I'm sorry. I was like, all right. Say the whole time. Yeah. Really? Yeah, he just told me. I get him something over, get him on Sunday. What do you want for your birthday? Oh, Mommy, I should stay there with you kids now. Last time I stayed with your granddaughter, I want an Apple iPad. I was like, oh, what did I say that for? Yeah. They don't go. Yeah. Oh, you trying to get a phone? You want your phone? It's your birthday. Though. Big brother, you want to tell you. They said they were bringing stuff. I don't know. What's gonna be, yeah. And, don't know who that's gonna be. We just have to kind of manage it as it goes. Yeah. All right, so welcome to our. Ready to go? Yeah. Welcome to our final class of our community book study. I think I'll move over to this class. Camera. Okay, can you see? Camera, can you see? Yeah. This is better, right? Good. This is my phone. Welcome to Triumph. There's another fine spot in here. I'm sorry. There you go. All right, go ahead. Go ahead, introduce yourself. You want to introduce yourself? We've been on a journey. Yeah. For those of you who may be joining us or catching this on social media for the first time, we have been on a journey. Our 6th week. Yes, it is. And we have 2 weeks on, 1 week off. And it's been an intense day. Yes, it has. The book that we've been studying is Man, Child, and the Promised Land. Author is Claude Brown. And it's a book that I read many years ago. Yeah. It was written to release like Shirley before I think I graduated high school, so it's been a while. It's been a while. But what's interesting, when this book was selected by our group unanimously, and I started reading it again after all these years, what occurred to me is that
it could be have been written now.
It's true, everything's kind of.
There's so many overlapping themes and ideas, and it seems that so much changes, so much remains the same.
Mhm.
And so what we have been doing in studying the book is not so much focusing specifically on Claude Brown or Sonny, the main character, but Sonny has been the catalyst or the launch pad for us to think about broader ideas. Thinking about our own lives, our upbringing, our parenting, our socialization, living in the inner city, being in community, our ups and downs and life. And it's challenged all of us. I know for me, I've had some moments of the book just triggering some memories from my childhood. In terms of my teen years and things that I did that I had, kind of forgotten, or tucked way back in the back of my head. And then reading the text just awakened those, not in a judgmental way, but I think with reading literature, being able to find yourself, or locate yourself in the text, it's really a way of using that text as a living tool, instrument, rather than as a dead word, letters on a page, but a living word that speaks to us beyond the life of Claude Brown, beyond that community. And brings insight, I think, for us, because we have the benefit of looking at this like through the rear view mirror and saying, "But this is so familiar." How do we now then look at our lives today and say, okay, 50 years from now, will these youngins be looking back through the mirror and saying, so much has changed, but everything doesn't remain the same? Or will we be able to look back and say, well, we got over some of those things. We've cured some of those diseases, some of those social ills, some of those fractures in our family relationships and in our own personal way of viewing the world. That we have our own issues, but we're not dealing with those issues. Right. And so that, I think, would be the hope for all of us. So this is, I just recaptured, you have one? Okay.
Yeah.
The outline, and the first part is from our previous class where we just picked out kind of uprooted ideas.
Talk about.
And then tonight, I want to just pick up from where we paused last week. Again, this is our last lesson. And, it's kind of bittersweet because it's been really for me, it's been informative and just so interesting. Just looking at the way that Julia, as you shared, sometimes you gotta put it down.
Yes, yeah.
Because you really are back in the street.
Yes, back
You're in that energy and it's a place you can't live.
No, okay.
All right, so as we prepare to open formally, I'm gonna Julia, please open us up, let's go to the food.
Yeah.
And we know once we get started, we eat, get up and feel comfortable with the food, and we keep talking and discussing as we go.
Yes,
Go ahead.
amen. Father God, we thank you for the gathering. We thank you for the food. We thank you for everything that you have protected us from the dangers seen and unseen in our little community. We ask you to bless us and continue to bless this book club because it is so informative and so needed in our community. And we ask my sister here, who spearheads this thing every week, we ask you to continue to strengthen her, bless her, and everyone here. In Jesus' name, amen. Yeah.
Thank you, Julia. Thank you. So before I forget, we will, if we have enough time at the end, we'll think about the last time I had a whole list of books.
Right.
That we could select from, and I didn't print that out. So we want to just begin to develop a list.
Okay.
Of books
That we can look.
that we may be interested in
Okay.
when we come back in January.
Sound like a plan.
Okay?
Yeah.
And we'll do it democratically.
Yeah.
The I will.
Yeah, right.
I will. So everyone has a choice, we'll put together a list and then we'll vote and see
Okay.
what what we agree upon, okay? So just beginning to today, just last week, we talked about this idea of protecting masculinity that came up in this text. And we really wanted to hear from the brothers and the brothers that were here, because when we think about that idea of masculinity, as females, we have a notion of what that is. And if you see that from this view, right? From a male living in a male body, what that means even from a little boy, it's something very different. I remember my grandson when he was no more than 5. It was becoming my granddaughter. She was young. She was like 3. He may have been 4.5 to the movie. So we get into the theater and we get our popcorn and soda, and of course they wanted the big one. Right. And so we sit down and right away then they have to go to the bathroom. So his grandma with the 2 of them with all this stuff. So we carry the stuff out and like, okay, we're all just going to the girls' room. Right. But my little grandson and his little masculine body stood there and he was adamant. And he was a very respectful child, but he was not going into the women's room. He knew that he was not going, so masculinity was already forming in him. Right. And that meant for him, and I was like, okay, this is dad speaking through his head. Dad's not there, but he already at that young age understood that that wasn't happening. And so I had to stand with my foot in the door of the men's room, right? And let him go in, because I wouldn't let that door close on him. And use the men's room. So it's very powerful. And so just hearing, Sonny talked about this idea of masculinity in the book, and that during that time for the guys, it was so important to protect that notion of masculinity. And often it was because you had the same thing. Right. And so if someone did something to you, you had to get them back. Right. Because then what are they gonna think about you and your masculinity? Right. What does that mean about your image of being a man? And especially those that have been recycled in and out of correctional facilities, how they carry that with them. Harriet shared, some insights last week. We appreciate it. And Harriet's always so great because he doesn't mind being wrong when he talks about growing up. Yeah. And I had wanted, Donald was here. He shared some information, some things that really touched me too, because he talked about not just being a man, but being a man on the fringes, on the margins. Yeah. We all know Donald, right? And how he feels sometimes like he's invisible to people around him. Yeah. That was interesting. That was very how they don't see him. Yeah. And thinking about that, those that live on the margins, and what's that challenge? You don't stop being a man because you're at risk, of housing or whatever. Yeah. Or you have challenges in your life. So what does that feel like to be invisible to the rest of the world? You know what I found very interesting, that Betty? Deb was very adamant about her condition, that she was not going to speak to whatever. Right. I can't live like that. And I said to myself, isn't that something? In spite of what her challenges were, she had a standard where she said, she's like, no, I can't do that. I can't do that. I can't do that. And I think sometimes our society, we have a way of minimalizing or dismissing others' humanity because of their station in life. Right. And for, I want to speak now, I would say, people of color, men of color, who we all know that the challenge of raising, I would raise sons, but I have 2 grandsons, and you've raised 2 sons. Mecca has 2 brothers. And so it's a different way. I mean, I didn't think about it with my grandson until he became a teenager, tall, dark, and chocolate fiber. Right. What does it mean now? Right. To move around in the world in that body. With the assumptions made about that body, when people don't know anything about you at all. And what does that then mean to protect that masculinity? Women, as females, I think we, coming up from slavery, have attempted to protect male masculinity. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. And in ways that may have been doing more damage. Exactly. Enabling. Yeah. Enabling. Yeah. But still that need to just protect the sons. I know my mom had 11 children, 7 girls and 4 boys. And all the girls will swear, well, the girls will swear that she coddled the boys. She forgot them to no end. I mean, they were men, I mean, they were not men. But she cut them every slack in the book. The girl, she made us tough to face this world.
Yeah.
But she made sure she got somewhat insulated in her way the boys. Now my dad was, he didn't cut any slack to the boys. My dad did. He was more concerned about protecting the girls. She was more concerned about her boys. Because they came up in the deep south, you know, in the 20s, and they knew what that life was like and what it meant to be a man. But I saw that how that in some ways crippled my brothers in some ways.
How many brothers you
I
said?
had 4.
Were they older?
I had like 1 young. Yeah. And she, if it was notable to us, she would probably deny that. You know, she would probably deny it. But I understand that. What is the difference in having girls? There's one way that we try to, a way we try to integrate and protect our girls. That's different from how we try to protect our boys. And especially for Black people, you know, the way that other, and people of color, that other non-people of color don't necessarily have to deal with it.
Yeah, well, on a daily basis, you see it in the work Black level, like how they perceive Black male, and it's a totally different, you know, a white male versus looking at a Black male is a totally different, you know, it's a totally different interaction, you know, so I'm like, wow, you know, his brothers don't get those Black, like you said, they don't get a Black,
But yet, we've survived.
and we'll continue.
And we will continue to survive. And that's the beauty of it. So we talked about that, and we ended last week with this notion of finding.
What does that mean?
What does that mean? Friends was good old friend, and the friend from originally, the friend has been on drugs, is now off drugs, and it looks like he could renew life.
Right.
And, you know, Sonny made some assumptions about his friend, his friend didn't know that's not what I'm doing. And the friend, you know, Sonny has found, you know, people.
Right.
And the question that I have to take away, what does that mean for each of us? What does that mean to find your friend? What does that look like? What does it feel like to find, what's each one of our places? Walking away. Walking away and empty yourself, okay?
Walk far. Get a lot of people. I ain't got people first. Walk on the
Just to be alone,
yeah.
alone and.
Yeah, I like,
your own
I like,
thoughts.
I like a lot of noise, I don't like loud people.
Okay.
My women's doctors.
So that's your place of peace. And I know you talked about that, how you have kind of your setup, to just sacred space.
Yeah, nobody else. Relax. Relax. Peace. Took me a while, but I don't know. I believe it. I don't read it. Because I was like this, but I took all, I took all, so they don't know. So I had to peace. I just started peacefully.
She can prep me.
Yeah.
Well,
My mother got beat on, and all that crazy stuff. And
well,
I'm
you
telling
went through a lot of trauma.
yeah, I always been the type of like keep doing it. I didn't want my mother laying down with no man, so I don't want that.
Yeah.
So I always been on the father hustle and pray.
So you're a mama boy.
Yeah, all the way. All the way. That's what he did. That's why I had to find peace. I can't go around like that. I know what type of attention I bring. I'm going, hey,
Wow.
so I make her angry, then it's gonna hurt her, that's how. Man, I found peace, I'm happy. No, I'm big. I've had a twin, but my twin passed away. My twin died in the toilet, and I came out of the house.
You survived.
Yeah. Boy, my sister would have had a twin, she passed away.
Wow, so mom carried twins,
Yeah.
and you said you consider
Like,
twins.
I had a set of twins, but I believe I got killed with my son and stuff. And she got caught up in a drop-out shoot. Ain't had nothing to do with us. Got caught up.
That's how you have some traumatic. You do Tyler Perry out there.
Mhm.
I'm telling you, he haven't.
Like even the Garden was talking about how people who should guard the trauma, they
From the
just
South, from Black
yeah,
folks,
yeah, they just associate, eating well, eating fruits and vegetables as slavery or, poor.
Post traumatic.
Yeah, yeah. So, we all been through so much, you'd be surprised what a person has been through,
And you know what?
horrible,
And triggers.
still resilient, yeah.
I find is that people have different triggers. What we might not perceive as a trigger, so and automatically it can send you into another zone. Innocently. And so when I listen to you about joy traumas and stuff, I'm saying to myself, boy, it could be something, where you have found your peace, but still, you might still have a trigger that,
Oh, yeah.
makes
I can't watch, I
yeah.
can't watch certain movies.
Well, I can watch this book. I say this book had me up.
Movies, like certain movies, I could be my mother's afraid of my mother's been through the exact same thing. I got sick from my mother when I was young. So I was in diapers. They took my mother. And I was,
You remember?
So how old were you?
I was young. I was like, well, but I've been doing a lot. I'll say. Yeah, I used to have, they used to make me PC out the toilet. I used to have sleep outside, the dollhouse. My mother ain't know. No, I was gonna do it. I still gonna do it.
It's
But
so,
I
it's so
seen
amazing.
dude,
Yeah.
I seen dude, my stepfather couldn't do that. I seen him.
My daughter, it was interesting, remind you, my daughter, she was telling, because I had, already with my husband, and her father was, forget it, I think it was, he was Vietnam vet, I think he,
Yeah.
yeah, he was, so, she was telling me I had sent her, stay with my grandmother, and my older son was late, and my grandmother had preference, like the old South, for the boy. And she said, Mom, and she was like, because her daughter's very passive, like she is very quiet, and she said, you're gonna have to step up. She said, I'm gonna tell you what happened to me. She said, my grandmother, your brother, your Uncle Malik used to do all kinds of things to me, and then he would call your grandma, grandma, and she would say, beat me and say, stop bothering your brother and stuff like that. And I said, wow, I didn't even know that. And she said, yeah. And she said, so what I had to do, I waited till after he got ready to leave, go to school, and I would scratch him all up. Never died. I said, oh, she said, that's what you gotta do. You gotta get him on a download, Lele. I was like, why would you? She's like, mind you gotta to survive.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was like, that's interesting. I never knew that. Never knew.
Yeah.
Something interesting, I apologize to my older son right here. Because the other day I said, out of all the four of you, I said, I remember my state of mind when I was going through my pregnancy. After I gave birth to him, he had, now I know, because I looked it up, I couldn't understand it, he had terror, night terrors. It happens primarily for boys, and it happens during a certain stage, like, they're living like, so it can be from a baby to like 3, where what happens is he doesn't wake up. He starts crying, and the only way you can get them to snap out of it is to like maybe wet their hands or put some water. Yeah, and I kept wondering, I said, well, why would this occur? And sometimes they say, like trauma, or they say, the mother her state of mind was maybe not having the child, or angry at the father. It should, like, they pick up, they're so intense, they pick up on energy in the room, especially the boys. That's why they say it's more, you have more miscarriages with boys, because they're the fallen woman, the testicles are falling, the vagina for the first few months. And then everybody starts out the same, female. And then after the 3 months, the vagina decides whether it wants to stay up or stay down. If it falls down, it becomes a boy.
Wow.
So, but in that delicate stage, yeah, that delicate stage is like, they say most of the miscarriages are boys. So, it's just being a state of mind thinking that you're going through. I remember that. I was just so angry at different things, and I remember internalizing it. So you're right about the trauma. If they start early, they start from womb.
Right.
Yeah. When we start out with our women's group started, I know that this is so important information.
Oh, yeah.
Younger women.
Yeah.
I'm grateful that the older women, a lot of them know this. And I know one of the things that, I learned as a child, that everything a woman takes in, from eating, breaking her environment, everything is filtered through that unborn child. It's not just, she's the child out there and everything, your music, your environment, your energy, everything goes through that unborn child. That's why it's so important to protect that child, the mother, in a space that is conducive to that new life that's coming here. Because when it's here 9 months, you don't know what's all up in there, right? From that trauma they've experienced.
Right. So when your mom was carrying you, do you know what type of state, or you don't know?
My mother,
You have to think of it too, at each stage, each month is a new development. There's different things.
Right.
Cognitive development, your heart, every stage is something. And then even after the baby comes out, every 3 months, that child is going through a different stage of development. Even when you learn that from nursing,
Well, because so we can't say out of kids, but they all are.
You can't. They are. I mean, and what makes it really so true, because I've birthed 2 biologically.
Right.
And then I have 2 daughters that I got birthed into my spirit. But the 2 I birthed biologically, I can see in them the energy that I had when I was thinking of them. Exactly what, because I know what I was, state of mind and yeah, you're in that pressure.
No, you don't.
and then it's totally different. Like my grandmother, she had 15 children. And her youngest one is probably a couple, like right now, he's probably like, I don't know, 50 something. So that gives you the span of things. But she was real good. Like she could look at somebody who is pregnant and tell whether they're gonna have a female or a boy.
My mom was good with that.
Me too.
She
So
can tell you were pregnant before you even knew yourself.
yeah, so I admire my grandma so much. I said, oh no, I want that gift. And surely I have that same gift too. But even in carrying them, it's different. If you have a daughter and you have a son, the pregnancy is totally different.
Yeah. But these are things that we've lost in teaching to the young women. I was trying to text Brandon, we can give him a Julie wanted the bread from.
You know what was so ironic, because last week I said that we had a lot more people here. And I was like, we actually ran out of food.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was like, no, we're not doing that. We're not doing that.
You gotta know that.
No, we are not doing that.
Well, it did not happen. It did not happen. It's true.
But yeah, so when we started the women's group, just to be able to impart that wisdom. And that's not wisdom from a school book.
No.
That was wisdom that the women and the men ancient knew. They understood this. And we've lost it to modernity. But so finding peace. So this week, and we're gonna have to fast forward over there. I was so enjoyed so much reading in chapter 9, he was talking about Haile Selassie.
Oh, yes, yes.
You know, Karen, you familiar with Haile Selassie? I've never heard of it, and you know, that is so unfortunate.
Yeah.
You know, it's amazing. I grew up with this picture hanging in both our church and our home. He was the man.
Yeah.
Remember Haile Selassie? He was like the crown prince of blackness.
Yeah.
He was inspiration to Garvey. He was inspiration
To a lot.
to so many people. He was a warrior. He was a head of a nation. I mean, he was just this phenomenal person. I read a little bit, I think.
We'll see,
From
I
that.
think he did. Yeah.
I did a little bit. And so I just wanted to just share that we can't go into it, but I just thought, you know, that part of our history, our young people are just lost on it. Where Emperor Haile Selassie was a household name when I was growing up. Like Terry's like, who is that? We have to bring this with we have to bring it back so that our people understand our heritage. You know, that we're not cut off from the vine, that we know our roots and we know the riches. There's the Ethiopian national anthem. We sing that in church.
Always, Ethiopia.
So the one we used to sing in Triumph, onward, Ethiopia. Ethiopia was like the name of the whole black people.
Yeah.
When we sang though, in my church was Ethiopia, the land of our fathers, the land where God was king. When storm clouds and night suddenly gather, our armies come rushing in. We must in the fight be victorious. When swords are thrust out with the gleam. To us full of victory, be glorious when led by the red, black, and green.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah, there was a pride.
Yeah.
And connecting to the motherland, there was a pride in our history.
Yeah.
And for our young people, so we that's why we got stuff our library, and we have to bring back this information. The Emperor Haile Selassie identified as a Christian, but it was Eastern Orthodox Christianity. It was very different from Western Christianity. But he traced his roots back to Solomon. King Solomon in the Bible, a direct heritage. So we can't go into all of that, but I figured the youngers would probably not know who he was. The Star of David and the Rastafari.
Yeah.
You know that, right? Well, that came from, you know, he inspired that whole movement, you know? So it just says what we need to bring back in our community for our youngers. So that they will know that our heritage is rooted in greatness. It's not just fantasy, but it is a real Wakanda. You know, there's a real Wakanda in our history. All right, so I put some information on that in here for you. But I wanted to just, as we end out, and some of the things that stood out for me, and Carrie, you and Julie, and something that I met that you wanted that stood out for you. I'll just run through a couple of these things. When he met his friend Doc, remember when he ran into Billy Down? There she is.
I'll be right over. Okay. Got for the hang. It was so interesting. I'll be right over. I'll be right over. Okay, he's off. He's just in the house.
Come on.
I'm telling her right now.
So this
I gotta
idea.
put my phone on the charger and I'm right over.
All right. When he read it, that's the one he had asked him about, his peace.
Yeah.
And he thought he had got involved with Black Muslims, and then he realized that it wasn't that, had got involved in this movement that was rooted in, the Coptic, religion, and they were connected, at least, to Haile Selassie
Right,
in terms of their beliefs and stuff.
right.
But one of the things that he shared, which I thought was interesting, I wanted to talk about, they was talking about, you know, in this movement, you know, most religious people didn't drink or smoke or would get high. But the idea existed, that you could, the quote from page 221, you could get high, they could get high if they just thought, by exerting mental power. And there's some scientific backing to that. All black folks in church, here's that, especially the Pentecostal movement,
Oh, yeah.
that speaking in tongues,
Yeah.
that dancing and shouting, altered the brain in a way where they were literally the more, what is it, the adult into the brain? It was as if they were smoking something when they were. So you can take yourself to an altered state of consciousness without inhaling or smoking or injecting them. And it's like a trance-like state that they would get. And you see it with indigenous healing. I experienced it in church. I've experienced it myself.
Yeah, yeah.
Where you can get,
You
right,
get-
you get
You
caught up.
get spiritually caught up.
Caught up. You are
You're
in
in
a
a
out of
different
body,
realm.
mind with a different
Different realm.
realm.
Yeah.
That you can go there through meditation, you can go there through music, but it's really a way that your brain can make that transition without external substance going into it. And so I just wanted to I thought that was interesting that they brought that up in the text, and having experienced that.
Is it told? Is the poop told? Is the poop told? No, it really is perfectly fine. Okay. Yeah.
You don't get,
Yeah, I'll get it for you. You already know. No,
So, I think that was interesting.
It was.
What was so sad though, is that Billy Dodd has been doing good for a while. And then he flipped back.
Right.
Yeah, he flipped back, which was unfortunate.
Yeah. And it's generally, and it says you can separate your environment, but then if you stay in that environment, there's a chance that you will go back.
You won't go back.
Yeah.
And
Which is sad.
I thought, it seemed to suggest that Lee Fanning seemed to think that the girlfriend, the woman he got involved with, had some kind of influence on him. Remember that was the brother's
Yeah.
girlfriend, yeah. It just seemed like it wasn't, and I want to use this word, gently, a righteous relationship. Not right in a religious way, but the energy wasn't right. Yeah, when you get caught up in a relationship where the energy isn't right, it can get you entangled in something and like, you wonder like, how did I see it? You know? And so
That happens to a lot. That happens to a lot. You know, if you can look in retrospect and someone really, I'm like, oh my Lord, what was I thinking? Yeah, what was I thinking? And he wasn't that cute. That's what they was. She said he wasn't. But then you're not like, oh my God. Right. It's one thing, it's good to look at, but gee. Oh.
But it's the energy.
Yes.
And really, when we get involved with anyone, it's an
Yeah.
energetic connection,
Yes, it is.
you know? Whatever that relationship, when we understand that, in scripture and, Proverbs, guard your heart with all diligence, without the flow of issues of life. And for me, when it says guard your heart, it doesn't mean like you go around and protect it and not open to people. But your energy, that's great. Your energy channel is flowing. And you don't want anything to cut off your energy, stifle your energy, corrupt your energy, you know, stop your energy flow. And we gotta be very careful. I think that's another thing in just teaching classes and even in the men's group talk. And I don't know that men always, tell me what you think.
Yeah, how did that go?
Think about it on this level, the energy connection for men. I know for women, I think we may not consciously be thinking about the energy connection, but we can feel it.
Right.
Yeah.
How do you think men have that same sense of thinking about the energy, not just the physical attraction,
No,
but that there's some energetic, something going on there, energetic.
when the brotherhood meets, like, do you feel like that energy, like she's saying,
If we all come together.
Yeah.
I think we all be on the same level.
You think men are sometimes more guarded with each other?
Yeah, yeah, we is, we got trust. Yeah, I just don't know, like, I can trust you, but it's from a distance. I trust you. My whole life, I got messed up about family. You know, I lost my father, you know, I got my family, my best friend, they turned their back on me and all that, so. I'm basically doing my own for a long time, so you know, my guard always been up.
you know what, though, during this process, and I can say this for a fact, that you're gonna have a shift and change. You're gonna find somebody, and they're gonna love you unconditionally, whatever issues you have, and you're gonna fall, and it's gonna be beautiful. Yeah, I can tell you that. And it's something I can feel it for you, I'm gonna tell you, yeah.
You know, sometimes I be embarrassed to talk, you know, I apologize sometimes,
No.
sometimes, you know, I be kind of nervous to talk. I always, I've been shut down a lot when I've been speaking, you know, my trauma, my accidents, my head and all that, it affects, so, you know, I can't really speak like you would. Speak. You know, I've been picked on a lot.
They're always the way you express yourself.
I've been picked on, so it's like, you know, it makes me afraid to talk to people.
Oh, no.
Like, I could be
You know
outside.
what? This too shall pass. All that is gonna be behind you, and greatness is gonna be before you. I see it.
I could be outside, if you're pretty much trying to speak to, I'd be scared to talk. I would not speak. My mother said, that's why you're not no religion.
Pretty
I'd
face,
be
and I always-
I'd be nervous. I just,
Yeah.
you know, I just want to talk to people like that.
And then I think part of that is to, having maybe the male model
Yeah, I never had,
as you were growing up,
I was
so
like-
you could see that.
I was raised by a woman. Yeah, I was raised by a woman my whole life, so it's like, I don't know how it is to be raised by a man who controls certain things. You know, I don't know. Like, I don't,
The male role.
like, I don't know nothing about it.
Stubborn, don't.
Yeah, the lots of things
Yeah.
really brought a big spread for you, and so.
It's so interesting. Yeah, we were talking about masculinity and everything. And I was like, shit.
Yeah, we were way ahead of time, we were so fast, we chance to give your thoughts on protecting masculinity. You wanna share something with them? Okay, all right, so Reddy gonna share something on protecting masculinity.
I think if I had a man figure in my life, like a father figure that was there, that was told me a lot from, it would probably been different, but. No, it's, he just said mother for reading something,
Yeah,
let's take
yeah.
both, take father and mother.
But, so you had trauma. You had trauma. And so, yeah, did your mom help you?
They came in before.
But she had. And that's like generational trauma. And then you didn't have the male part of the male father wasn't.
There you go.
On here. So that's like layers and layers of trauma that you're going through. But I think it is important, that's why I really want to get the men through going, because there's something,
Thank you, yeah, thank you, bro. Yeah.
Sonny talked about, there was a conversation, he was walking with a friend. And, a little boy walking down the street with his dog. Sonny's walking with one of his friends, and the little boy says to him, I wanna be, what do you do? And Sonny's like, do you know me? The boy's like, no. He said, well, why are you asking me, what do I do? And I think it's on page 278, and the little boy says, I wanna be like you. The little boy says, I've been watching you. And Sonny didn't have any idea who this little boy was. But this little boy had been watching him, and then looked at him at this time, Sonny, you know, just said to him something like, you know, Don't be like me, you know,
Right.
but he felt bad after that, cause he didn't even realize.
That's
And
why
he was watching him and he wanted to be like him.
Yeah.
And so all of us, I mean, that's something my mother used to always say, someone is always watching you.
And you don't even know.
And you don't realize it. And so when we walk and live our lives, we gotta think about what impression are we leaving on the people that we don't even know.
We're watching, right.
He's watching us. And studies are there that he didn't have anything positive to say to the boy, but I'm this, I'm that. This is something you could do. It really caught him off guard, but that little boy maybe needed a male model. He may not have had one in his home.
And right.
And Sonny was, he was watching to find one.
Oh, wow, this is really interesting, and I mean, it's happening now, you know, you have to mail off, yeah. So it's
Come
not,
on over here, fellas, we don't isolate, we have dinner, on the table again.
there we go.
Come on, grab a seat, grab a seat. Oh, we can get it.
Is there enough room?
So I thought that was interesting.
Very,
And it was a moment that, and I shared last week about my friend, and I thought.
I you talk, and it's interesting, it's so
Yeah.
good.
Yeah. we
Yeah,
were
it's
talking
interesting, yeah.
about, you know.
Shirley?
Yeah, Shirley Smith.
I remember the name, I was like, wow,
When and last week it was about.
yeah, she went to school with, yeah.
We were talking about acceptance and who was our model, who was our role model growing up. And we all look up to different people.
You know what, I said, I looked at it, I was saying, boy, that is some awesome, yeah. Who did that?
His mother.
Oh, good job. Very good job. Y'all have napkins?
My son.
Boys, they typical boys. So I,
That little carrier right
So napkins over here.
Yeah,
on
paper towel.
Brown, brown napkins over there, but.
there you go. And ginger ale is the one, that's right.
So the story was that when I was when I was in junior high back then, I was in the 7th, 8th grade. There was a girl in my class that wasn't a friend of mine, but she was like the popular girl who dressed really cool and she had a smart mouth and you know, and say the things to the teacher that you dare would say, you know. And there was this one day that she had got sent to the principal's office and her mom had been called to the school. And her mom walked in and she looked like she stepped out of Vogue magazine. I remember she had this gray coat with a fur around the collar. I'm like, oh, I wish that was my mom. And she came in there like cursed the people out in the office. And I was like, yeah, that was my mom. And I was like, oh, I wish I could be like her. You know, it's like, wow, that'd be so cool to have her as a mom and live her life. Fast forward many years later, I have one child by then, and I'm working downtown Bank. I'm living up in Cootersville. I'm on the bus. I'm catching the bus to work, and this girl gets on the bus, and she had, you know, the arm baby, what we call the knee baby, and then she had the other baby. So she had 3, but I thought she was getting on struggling with the 3 baby, but she just looked ratchet. You know, when someone in the morning. Yeah. Just thinking, you know, hair was a mess, people can mess, walking at the children. What's going on? And as she's approaching me on the bus, she said, down, she said, Sandra. And I'm like, yeah.
I'm sorry.
It was Cheryl. She went to school with me. And I wanted to be her when I was growing up. She was a good girl. I was the boring girl. She was the cool girl. And I'm saying that she remembered and recognized me. She must have been paying attention to me even before.
Yeah.
I was looking at her from external, I don't know what her home life was.
Right.
I don't know what she was going through at home. I'm only looking at the outside and thinking that this is what I wanna be. I had no idea. Yeah, to school. She went off, I mean, she may have been going off on her own, I don't know. That's why, you know, when we look at someone's life, we have a tendency to project just from the external piece,
Right, you never know.
and you never know. And you don't know who, you may be looking at someone wishing I was them, and they may be wishing they were you. You don't know. And so that was like a life lesson in that moment for me.
Do you think?
Give an example of what you mean by this.
Look.
Yeah.
Question. Good question. Who wants to respond?
I would say, I can't even comprehend when people say things, conflict with what they do.
Yeah.
I don't trust you.
Cross you up, right?
I don't trust you, because then I'm saying to myself, well, when we were growing up, your work was your bond.
What was it?
That is
Never
it.
married you,
Your work was your bond, and if you didn't, boy,
Work was worth more than your money.
I don't think you
Heard you and
I
not.
don't think you'd be perfect because
no,
you can actually live up to it, and then sometimes you might act out on certain situations. That don't define.
But there's some, what is the word I'm looking for? There's lack of proof, but, you're not gonna ruin. So it doesn't
Yeah.
mean that, all of us misstep.
Right.
Sometimes our best laid intentions go awry. But there has to be some integrity, and integrity means when your external is in line with your internal.
yeah,
So if you're consistently saying something and demonstrating something else, it says there's no integrity.
right.
What do you really like? What do you really like this person? What do you believe you like? What brings on the way? What do you really like this person? It's just something about this person. Then, like you said, then it's like this one part, like.
So you're talking about for a romantic or intimate relationship?
I'm like,
Because
been there, done that. I was just telling her, the relationship that we're growing up with, sometimes, you know, yeah, it's already there, don't you sure? Not in the door. Watching.
Yeah, right. You know, something in you comes that red light, red light, red light.
Right.
And you're speeding, ignoring the signal. And I think to myself, we've done that in the past. You know, but it doesn't mean that you didn't see what was there out there. Sometimes someone can get blindsided, but for the most part, I think the signals are there. And the main signal is the incongruent thing. When someone's words do not line up with their behavior, there's something internal disconnected in them. And it doesn't mean that person's a bad person. Yeah, it doesn't mean they're a bad person. It means they're working through some issues in their own life. And unless you have the patience or you are therapeutic in trying to help them work through that, just understand the boundaries of your relationship with them. Right? You have to be able to set boundaries.
Therapeutic, okay, they have, you know, the system breaks it down. You know, you can like them all at once, but you gotta work through them
You
issues.
gotta work through the issues aren't going away, they only intensify the more involved you get with someone. They never diminish, they're only intense. And so knowing that, is the loving thing to do is say, listen, I really like you. You know, I see the potential of you being this really wonderful person, but right now, you're on for Dr. So-and-so, maybe you need to go sit on the couch for a little bit. And give me a call in 6 months.
Right, yeah, see where you're at.
See where you're at.
Yeah,
I'm still available.
Right.
Right.
I mean, but don't dysfunction and craziness. Don't walk into it because you set yourself up.
Sanctify things, people, because all of us are not, people working there.
Yeah,
So,
I'm telling you, don't do it. Don't do it.
Don't do it.
When the red flags are there, you know?
So Greg, that was a great question. I want you to respond, we really wanted to hear this from you last week, and Carrie, I'm sorry you missed his responses, but y'all are close, so I'm pretty sure he's probably shared this, as some of the if you know. So the idea we talked about last week in protecting masculinity, I was hearing from the young brothers also. What does that mean about protecting masculinity? We see masculinity from the female lens in one way. I shared the story about my grandson who we met when he was a little boy, like 4.5. I took him and my granddaughter, who's 2 years younger, to the movie. We went in and they need to go to the bathroom, so I'm struggling with popcorn and soda. And so we're all gonna go into the girls' room, right? And my little grandson at 4.5 is like, he's looking like, Mama, no. I'm like, that's the ladies' room. I'm not going in there. And I'm like, what are you talking about? He wasn't budging. He's a very respectful kid. And our first thing I'm saying, that's his dad in his head. But he was not going in the girls' room. I had to stand with my foot in the men's door open, not to go in, to let him go use the men's room. So masculinity was already formed in there at 4 years old. What does that mean about protecting masculinity to you? What does it mean to you, young fellow?
When nobody,
What Sonny said in the book.
yeah, that's what we mean.
Yes, Sonny said, listen, if someone did something to you, you had to get them back, because otherwise you say something about your masculinity.
That's what we're saying.
That's what he would say, like, someone robbed him, he says, I gotta do this to him, I can't just let him slide on this, because then what other people gonna think about my masculinity? I'm not gonna be able to go out in the community, because they're gonna say this, that, and the other, so I gotta protect my masculinity, is what he said. So that's where the question came up, what does that mean to protect your masculinity?
Yeah, okay.
And is it important to protect to you? It is?
Huh?
Your image.
So you in school, do you get bullied? Or do you
Who's
bully?
gonna bully him?
Or you somebody bigger?
I would be checking the right. My job.
Yeah, that's what I was saying, because that's the word they use. Go ahead.
Okay. Okay, so you would match whatever came, they said words, you say words. They put hands on you, then you have to match it with hands on, okay?
Yep. Yep.
It's just word. I'm not.
You know, okay.
You matching with this.
You feel the same way, Kareem?
Okay, so you guys just like, you're not gonna start anything. No. So basically, just, you're not going out there, starting to avoid trouble, but yeah. Yeah. Oh, that's great. You try to avoid it. Even in your school? What school do you go to?
We did a special program the last couple of last couple of months.
You know,
Yeah, online school.
Oh, really? Okay, how about you? What do you mean you don't know the name?
He just got transferred, that's why.
Oh, I was gonna say. Those like some like stomach study.
So, question we asked, Carrie about masculinity was, we talked about as women, there's a certain way we relate to males, a certain way we relate to the females, and relate to each other energetically. Like if we're in a room and it's just females, and another female walk in, and say we're having like a, you know, we don't know this, but there's a certain energy flow, right? Probably men have that same kind of dynamic,
Yes,
and how do you
Yes.
experience that?
it is. I would say, okay,
It's, say I'm doing.
yeah. We have a certain like.
But the bell committee.
Wait for more. It's to a certain degree, my. It's like,
Is it
it's
territorial?
territorial, yeah, it definitely,
So the first kind, so that if it's a mixed group. So it's males and females and another guy coming. What if it's all males though?
oh,
All males and a guy walks in, you don't know the guy. What's the energy?
all about the same way, so. I hear something.
What is that about? And you're feeling the same thing too, right? No, what? Oh, you can't imagine it? You can't? You can't?
You know, I'm glad, they were in my house, right? All of us right here. We all kind of communities, we water communities. If you say like. I am walking. You like. You all look like what? It's like a dominant territory. Situation.
So it's like the lion, and then another male lion comes up.
Exactly.
So is that about fear? Is there a threat? You sense a threat from the other male until you can say it's not threatening?
Yeah.
It's kind of like war.
It ain't no right.
It's like, it's like doing mine. You know, it's like going out of there, coming into your personal space.
It's not threat.
It's an object coming into your space. You don't know what it is, you know what it is.
So until you know, are you familiar with the person, then you just still trying to figure it out?
Now, you know, we just walking on. I don't read books, I read books.
Okay, that's another way of saying you're looking at the energy. And then the way they move says something about the energy. Interesting, interesting. Get some dinner, it's still warm.
Yeah, it might, yeah, there's nothing, I'm not doing it. You don't know how to worry about it. Yeah, here looks so nice.
It should still be warm. It's interesting dynamic, and I think it's interesting, certainly as we try to develop the men's group, because if you all are bonding and you have the men's group, and then some strange guy walks in, are they gonna feel like, you know, I'm not welcome in this group? Or, you know, maybe I need to be defensive around these brothers? I mean, how are they gonna feel about that? Yeah, how he's observing you all, how would he, I mean, if you walk in a room and there's a bunch of guys, and, you know, again, if you were to respond to aliens, how are you feeling about their energy?
Well, I was thinking about the African brother that came. How you think shift?
Well, we were able to experience the shift, right? Because he first When Terry came, I think Terry went into that protecting masculinity mode, and protecting me, initially. Because God got to take care of his son. And I was in the office, and I didn't know how to just try, because I know what that energy can go. Right. And, when the guy, you know, Agunda, sat down, but I think Terry is the guy that is energetic, right? I mean, this year, I mean, you experienced.
What was that about? How did this different energy happen?
Oh, like, I don't think I'm better than nobody, so it's like, I already know how it is, and you gotta have, you want, you know, I smoke, smoke weed, so like, I know what it is to wake up and you need something, you know, you gotta have it, nobody can't tell you nothing, you gotta have it. Well, that's the thing, but when I looked and I realized, I was like, yo, it gotta be something, you know, like wrong, or this just what he really do. I mean, drink, something was off. I know something was bothering him, and stuff, that he could move it. I understood that wasn't really him, but wicked, bro. So,
Yeah.
so, you know, that's when the big thing, I was like, you know what, like, it's all right. You know, it took me a while, you know, to get the feel of him and all that. You know, I still was sizing him up a little bit, you know, like, watching him real closely, but once I got the feel of him, I'm like, he's not hitting off, but.
But it could have done when he stood up.
He did get in my face, yeah. Yeah, cause I told her, I was like, you know, once everybody come in, I was like,
In the past, but Kerry was trying to be quiet. Kerry, and he was like, you know, I don't think you should bring that in here. And then I said, well, you know, why don't you pour it in the cup? And there'll be more respect. So then he said, well, I couldn't do what I wanted to, but when I see him every day, he has that urge for that liquor and alcohol, and he has something going on. I don't know what to do.
But I think in that moment, that's the way I would say, dealing with, say, the alien man that comes into the men's group. You would want to assess the energy. Because all energy, you know, some people are where you have to go to protect money. And you have to know the difference, I think.
I share it though.
I think you have to know.
Yeah.
Walk this in. We also,
Right.
I'm out of there. Now we turn around. And we see some big booty, green with the suit on. I'm sorry, you said like.
I'm imagining it.
So, and we like, I know me, I'm like, oh. But you might be freaked out. You like, I know you. But he come in peace, but we don't know that. And he sit down and speak his piece and sound just like us. It's like, all of our mind on the judgmental character, like. With guns, we gave him that split second, like, one of us did it, because all of us, a couple of us like, no. But one of us like, hold up, wait. And he started speaking very intelligent, or just speaking very like peaceful. It's like, but at that moment, some of us don't go, some of us was creeped out, some of us was afraid. But you had one or two that was like, hold up,
Give it a chance.
give it a chance.
Yeah.
I was, me personally, I would say that in a lot of, it's like,
Cause he asked me, he said, can I hold your hand? And I said, oh, he said, can I hold your hand? Please don't leave me here. So, you know, being that I'm a psychiatric nurse, I kind of tried to, you know, sense his, you know, ability.
start reading.
And I saw in his eyes that it's something deeper than what it was. And God told him to come here. It's always the devil and the angel that's talking to him a lot of the time. And he listened, but he still had the devil's juice. But you can't judge him. You know, we don't know what's going on. Like, you know, Pastor said, we don't know. And I think that's what a lot of us have to grow on, because I'm not perfect either. I have sips every now and then, you know, and I think that it's gonna meditate me, but really, when you wake up in the morning, it's still there, the same thought. I feel like it's always a relationship with, how you, your higher self, your relationship with your higher power. That translates every time to your relationship with other people. In other words, your relationship with God or whatever, great spirit, whatever you call it, should always translate, and it does translate to other people. Because you should be able to, again, I say that the spirit of discernment, or be able to recognize, regardless of how somebody's dressed, whether it's not impressive to you or it is impressive, does not determine the character or the nature of that person. You understand? It's like your spirit is projected before your physical body gets there. You should be able to, kind of pick up on the aura. Sometimes people, it's what they're saying, and sometimes it's what they're not saying. You understand? It's nonverbal communication. Everybody's not gonna be verbal about what they feel or feeling. You understand what I'm saying? There's some people that when they get scared, they act a certain way, or if they're comfortable, they're gonna act another way. So just being able to tap into that.
It's like you were saying, sis, that's a very good point, because I noticed, like, with my depression is very serious and bad around this time. Only because of the deaths that I've had with my child, with my grandfather. It's like memories is just not good. And I don't know, I noticed that a lot of people, even celebrities that are going through mental issues, they always say they feel like they're dying. And it's the truth. You really feel like you're dying or you're gonna die, and you start having these thoughts, and it's not good thoughts. It's just like, am I dying, or something like happened to me, or whatever. And then as soon as you take that pill, it goes straight away. The medication knocks it out of your thoughts. So it's just like, you don't know if you're here or whatever, and you want people to kind of understand it, but a lot of us, we judge too much. And that's what we have to learn.
That's an important piece, and I think if we're ever able to discern and recognize the spirit of discernment and read spirit, we have to suspend judgment. A judgment will cloud your interpretation and your reading of spirit. And that's not an easy thing to do, because part of the way we are hardwired as human beings for our survival is that we have to make quick judgments. We can't sit and decide for everything we approach, is this safe? Is this not safe? We have to compartmentalize things. I mean, I gotta know that a chair is a chair and I can sit. Right? I can't go and test every chair to see if it's gonna hold it. I make assumptions about the chair.
I hear you, sis.
A chair, and I should be able to sit down. And if it don't, then that's a surprise, because I expect it to be a chair.
Right.
Right? So there's certain things, I mean, we see a lion walking down Bourbon Street, nobody has to tell us. Right. Because we've learned that a lion is not friendly to us as humans. Right. We're in danger. So there's certain things we already have in our brain. We also, though, make certain assumptions about people. Based on, could be our past experience with them. It could be, as Julia said before, or what Carrie has shared with you, we could experience someone that looked like you and that was very harmful to us as a child. We could have had a traumatic experience, and just seeing someone with that little gold in their hair triggers us.
Yeah.
You make a judgment about you because of a past, and I may not even consciously remember that past experience.
Oh, you're right.
You know? But something triggered in me, and I begin to react and respond in a different way. And so coming to terms with, and I think that's what Julie was trying to say to you, coming to terms with all of our trauma.
Yes.
We have to do that ourselves. It's not an easy thing. Washing them out, because they will cloud our judgment every time. They'll cause us to disagree situations, people, put ourselves in danger, and miss opportunities.
Yeah.
For love.
For love.
You know? So it goes both ways. We have to deal with those traumas.
Yeah.
And be able to get beyond judgment. And I think I was talking to Red last week, and I said to them, when I came here in February, right? Now I was, that time I was 67 and a half years old, woman, had not been active in the community in a while, had known nobody, no face that I recognized. And my sister was saying, you crazy, Tanya, why are you going up there in that church? You gotta be in there locked because the alarm on. How am I gonna serve the community if I'm in there shut up?
That's what I just said, I'm gonna, just straight up drop out right here. Don't write your system.
Something can play on you. So I was determined, if I'm here for the community, I gotta have those doors open. If I'm having a public space. And so Sundays, I'm in a vulnerable position because I got the camera going, I got the mic and all of this, so I can't monitor the door. And I was in here for a good while with just me. And so one Sunday I'm here, I'm up here, I'm speaking and whatever, and the thing goes for but nobody comes. Right? I keep it rolling, I keep it moving, I'm looking at one eye, but I keep it moving. I keep it moving because, you know, I could have went into fear, but I have to have some sense of discernment. And for myself, my spirit got to tell me when I'm in danger. Now, when I'm in danger, whether you, and you recognize it, I'm gonna fall. I'm gonna go and do what's necessary to protect me if I feel danger.
Right.
But if I'm not, and I think I said this at one point, if I don't go crazy, don't the rest of y'all go crazy.
Yes, you did say that.
Right?
Right, you did say that.
Because if I'm not sensitive, then don't you go crazy. But the moment I sense it, that means we gotta take action. But what I did was, afterwards, I rode back to Canberra to see who was that came through the door. And what I recognized, it was a woman, but she was someone who used to come to the old church. And she probably came in looking for the old pastor and realized that it wasn't me. And then just went back out. But you see how things can cause you to go a little bit theory? But I said, you can't step into particular places and be afraid of, if you can't touch someone, you can't say nothing. You can't have a contact. So what did you know that thing?
The first day, I know you had to be like a little nervous, and you had to be like with deep thought, like, you know, I'm here by myself.
I'm never by myself. I'm never by myself.
So, well, I know, yeah, that.
There's a whole post around me every time.
Well, you know, I'll be pastor like.
Physically, I'm by myself. But you can be by yourself in a whole group of people.
Man challenge.
I've been by myself in a whole group of people when I was with people.
Okay.
I've been in situations when I'm with people and I'm in danger.
Exactly.
Yeah, so just because people around you don't mean you're safe.
Right. But you got danger, you have us right.
So I don't, the whole time I was here, there was only one time when someone walked through that door and my antennas went up.
Wow.
And this was on a Friday, before y'all were regular. And the energy that came, and I never thought I got it, but the energy that walked in, there was someone else here. But the energy said to me, and I just did the other, she came in and got something, and what I did was walk the other guy out and him to the door. No, the other guy was cool. He didn't recognize what I recognized. The other guy came in, I don't know what he saw. The guy that came in here, I felt it wasn't the energy that I needed to be in.
Yeah.
And I walked him to the door, you know, just talking.
That's right.
Talking, walking to the door. That's the only time, and I don't know.
You can talk your way out of things, but what I learned is how you speak, you know. I remember a long time ago, this is really crazy. My girlfriend and I, we were in high school, and it was the same two guys robbing everybody in the neighborhood. They were old. And so they approached us. I said, here we go. So when they came, I said, just act like you're dead. Like, you know, act like you're dead. And when we started doing it, he said, oh man, vehicle, that's the difference. Woo! Yeah.
Sometimes you gotta use what you got.
Yeah.
As we wrap up,
Yes.
as we end and wrap up, I'm glad Sonny was able to make it out. Some of the things that helped him was, he started playing the piano.
Yeah.
Got involved with music. And the arts are very important. So young folks, when Ronald Reagan, I think it was years ago, cut a lot of the arts programs in school. But I think launching is war on drugs. how ridiculous that was.
While flooding the community.
While flooding the community with drugs,
Great.
launching a war on drugs and
Right.
taking money for arts and music in our schools, which is as much a part of education of our children as reading, writing, and arithmetic. So, yes, it's a part of, we are more, in terms of our energy and music, a rhythm. And so music is who we are. We are a rhythmic being. We learn that. I mean, that's simple to learn that. We learn how to speak and talk and communicate, but we need the energy of music. That's a part of who we are. So Sonny, that was one of his ways of getting out. He was also deeply wounded by the fact that his younger brother, who he spent years trying to protect, slipped into the clutches of being an addict.
Right.
And that was a hard thing for him to see and to deal with. And that he couldn't save his brother. When he had fought to not himself, and he was able to walk away and not get addicted. And he didn't realize his brother, his younger brother, got addicted right under his nose. And he didn't see it. And sometimes that's very painful when he's seeing other folks, but he missed it in seeing his little brother. And what that was doing to his mother in his household. Those were things that, and Sonny was a smart kid. He was an energetic kid. He was a hyper kid, but he was able to make poor decisions, but he was also able to make good decisions. And decisions that was able to ultimately save his life and give him a path out from where that. It's a troubling story because there's no, I mean, Sonny was able to find his gate, but there were so many that were left behind. There's a couple of things I just want to end on this, and we talked about what is the thing now. He talked about 1949, because he would have been born like 10 years before me.
Oh,
Yeah, just put in the trash. So in the late 40s, it was the idea that the thing that was threatening the neighborhood was the knife or the fighting amongst Black folks in Harlem. I remember the first time I went to Harlem, I was a little girl, and kind of story was that on Friday night, everybody had like, what was it, the 22 special, or Saturday night special, they called it, they were shooting intelligence. But it shifted in the 50s. And then another thing, what shifted and what has been changed since then is that what he called the disease. And what was the disease that took over?
Well, heroin actually was the first one that came out that got all about people addicted very hard. Pregnant with it, everybody
Started doing the
heroin, yeah.
and the drug of choice may have changed, but the disease still exists. And so the challenge is, when we talked about this last week, finding our place of peace. What is the void in us? Where we keep falling into the same place, knowing it's not going to get us where we want to go. Because there's no lack of evidence of substance abuse and use and what happens to you. And there's no success story. I don't care, you know, I know people have used until they die. But they were used. There's no success story in being an addict, whether you're Whitney Houston or you're someone like her in Hollywood. You may have greater access to it, but you're still on the end of a yo-yo. Something is pulling you. And remember, addiction can be not just drugs. There's other things we can be addicted to. Ways of thinking, we can be addicted to people, we can be addicted to other things in our life. The challenge is, can we find fulfillment internally? With not based on, I gotta be with this person, or I gotta do this thing, or I have to have this thing. I can find that peace and carry this by being in my room.
yeah.
With me. Can I find that peace in me? If I can ever find that peace in me, then there's no one's yo-yo that I can be on the other end of. I can control my own life in the sense that the God within me holds me. And I can find that peace within me. And I think ultimately that But me, and I can speak for everyone. I've been on the end of a lot of yo-yos throughout my life. I'm about 68 years old, you know, and to be able to feel a sense of freedom. When you think about what's important to you, I did an exercise years ago, and you know, what is it, you know, what would you do? What would you trade off? Would it be your freedom or would it be your money? I mean, ultimately, what do you want to end up with left? I mean, if you had to decide between giving up all my money or giving up my freedom, or you know, giving away this, my car, giving away, what would you end up with? I was left with freedom. That's the only thing I didn't want to give up was my freedom. I could let go of everything but my freedom. Yeah. When you think about it, we all have to set our own values because that's the congruency. That determines what you will fight for. I will fight to be free. Even if it's against myself, I will fight to be free. Because I don't want to be a slave to nothing and no one. And sometimes we're slaves to ourselves, and I know that. I know depression. Listen, I dealt with depression, diagnosed with depression. I know what it is to feel like you're walking around bed. I know what that is. I know what it is to wake up every morning like you never went to sleep that night. I know what that is to go through life like a zombie. I know what that is. To be free even from that. And that's you. Anywhere you go, what did you say? There you are. To be free even from you, so that when I show up, I can be glad to see me. Say that again,
Everywhere you go,
there you are. That is it. That's what I'm nominated. Everywhere you go, only gonna be you. So as
Even if somebody else
as we close out, I want us to just come, we're gonna do a blessing, special close or something, an awesome prayer.
Yeah.
We're gonna pray, and I don't know, Professor, you feel like doing the prayer?
Close it out.
Come on, man. Whatever it is that is our takeaway, that and freedom, it may not be freedom for someone, it may, and for me, there's no peace without freedom. But that's just me. Maybe for someone else is something else. My thing is, we all have to find what is it that is the thing that I won't give up. I'll go down fighting for it. What is the thing that I won't give up? You have to kill me to take it. What is the thing? What is that for each one of us? And only you can answer that. No one can answer that for you. There's no judgment on what that is. Because if that's what it is for you, then that's you. You know, and that's anywhere you go, there you are.
I'm gonna say, since we raised. Without this, nothing. So you got it, you hard to do all day. What for your body, all day. Well, these were best. So like, I would say I would fight my sister who I am as a person. To keep my mind, because your mind is as strong as the body. The person can say you'll never walk again, but your mind says you're gonna walk. Somehow, some way, you're gonna figure a way out. It might not be the same way, but you walk. It's not
You're
pity.
gonna fight through it.
So you fight for your
mind.
Mama,
Ready. Okay, all right, Carrie, what would you fight for?
Yeah, we're gonna do it.
Your power?
Sense of power.
Cause I think a lot of times, I could just say my point. I feel like, oh yeah, I wake up in the morning, oh, thank you for waking me up in the morning, and then it could be one thing that could took my whole time and everything, and then I'm destroyed all day behind that one little itty bitty thing. Your mouth is the strongest weapon that you have.
Do something you're proud of.
Good, that's good.
Yeah.
But see, they got you, power, and they say something, you know, they go.
That's what I think. Yeah, maybe we should start like something, or having like business groups and women discussion groups, because you know, sometimes people don't wanna openly talk about certain things in certain groups. You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm saying.
That is, We're working, Mecca's gonna chair the week, it's gonna be just women and then we'll count on y'all to help pull this together. That's right. Cause we need this person. And I'm sorry the younger is left, we always gotta watch the table elders as the younger ones start to slip out, cause they need this. They do. Yeah, I'm glad they sit with us for the time that they did, but, they need to be a part of it. All right, I just wanna thank each of you for being a part of this group, this study. And, that it was always a learning experience. As I said, it brought up a lot of memories, things I had. And I've thought about in years. I pray for the sunnies of this world. I pray for the children, the young ones, the old ones, the people who struggle. Yeah. And I don't care how old we are, there's always something with them. Always something, there's a reason why we keep fighting. We used to sing a song when I was a kid, you fight on, you just saw it in your hand, you fight on. Because there's always something, you conquer this battle, you rest a minute, you get up, there's another war. Internally, I'm talking about, it's not just about with people, there's always, until we transform or translate it into another body form, we gonna keep struggling against it. You know, that's how we know we're alive. You know, when we master it, we will take wings and fly. When we master it, right? So don't beat up on yourself because you still struggle, is what I'm trying to say. We're all still struggling. There are valleys and there's mountains. I pray for the babies that are coming up. My prayer is that we do what we can to cure the disease that's here now, that's been here for 50, 60 years. They'll have other battles to fight. It don't have to be the same ones we fought. Right? It don't have to be the same ones. They'll have other hills to climb. They'll have other mountains to scale, but it don't have to be, they don't have to sit here 50 years from now reading about our lives and saying it's the same old thing today. It can be a different thing for them. And that's my prayer. That each of us know that someone is looking at us. Crystal, I'm watching. From the time I've come here, I've been watching. I see your femininity. I see your strength. I see your struggle. Know that you're not unseen. I see you. And that all of us have a story. Let us write our story. Take the pen back in our hand. Let it become the author, the dictator of our story. Let us be the ones to determine how the next chapter will be. And we can do it. We can do it. And then own it. Whatever it is, good, bad, ugly, or different. It's my story. I did it well. Make sure it's your way. Not because someone else is pulling the strings. If I did it my way, I own it. Those are my choices. And I live with the consequence. We're going to close this down. Take everything. Jessica, I know yeah, she went to the doctor. Yeah, yeah, just make a place for Jessica, please. Thank you. So nothing's gonna make a place for Jessica. Okay. That's beautiful.